Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next 2 hours, along with Gal. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. And Spence is here. Spence is
Hello.
back. Good morning. And Nick is here.
Howdy.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear.
So, Gal, you who's your makeup person? You look marvelous.
You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is benefits of Home Assistant.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I hooked up a smart light and put it right at my face, and I can control it now, and so it's no longer dark.
Nice.
This is related to what you just said about smart lights. I had to change some lighting fixtures in someone's house recently, and many of the new LED lighting fixtures come with multiple color temperatures built just out of the box.
Yep.
And they're not connected to smart home yet, but I think that's coming. But they do have a thing where you can either set it to the default color temperature, or each time you turn the switch on and off, it cycles through the different color temperatures. But they also make now the replacement recessed lighting LEDs that are the same thing, and the price is unbelievable. It's so cheap.
Like what?
So I love to see it. They haven't, like I said, they don't have a retrofit kit yet that's smart lighting, but I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah. What is cheap?
Like $20 $20 a replacement.
Wow.
You know how they have the recessed lighting? It's a little flat panel LED that replaces the bezel. You plug it's got a screw-in adapter that goes into the socket up inside the recessed light. And then you replace the bezel on the base with this, what is essentially a flat panel LED that fits in the hole. And now they come in different, multiple color temperatures that you can change with just switching the light on and off.
Yeah, so amazing. I can be like very blue, or I can be very yellow.
You look so sad.
Or any other color you want. Green with envy.
Or The Walking Dead.
Yeah, so now I feel like sophisticated.
What do you have the Antifa color set? What color is that?
Oh.
Yeah. I'll be here for the next 2 hours.
Well, it's a very special day today.
Why?
It's my birthday today. 44.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
What did you mention what brand light that you're using?
No, I think I'm using like something super generic, but it's something I bought on sale a while back. It's a Zigbee controlled light.
Is it a light or a bulb?
The bulb.
It's a bulb. Okay, got it.
When it comes to colors, then it will usually be a bulb.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. So 44. What are you doing? What's changed?
His whole outlook on life.
That's what I was wondering.
No, that happened last year.
He's going to stop doing all those abusive things and straighten his life out finally.
Yeah,
Wow.
that didn't happen.
Yeah. Next
Finally
year,
going to
next
agree
year,
that Windows is the best operating system ever. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's it.
44.
I
Down
never
with
said
Linux.
I never said it wasn't great. I think that's the if you're asking for a change of worldview perspective, right? Is there is no such thing as the very best, the only solution, right? There's no black and white anymore.
Did the audio just change?
Yeah, your microphone just changed, I think.
On me?
Oh, now it's good.
Flick the microphone.
1, 2.
Oh, no, now it sounds fine. Weird.
Oh,
It's weird
It
how you
sounded like
went, suddenly you sounded distant.
yeah.
It went to like a room
okay.
mode or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
Maybe my microphone is trying to tell me stop shouting.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's such a smart microphone that it actually thinks for itself.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So what else is happening? What happened last week that shattered that made you think about technology?
I didn't touch a PC for the whole week. I shouldn't. I did help do something for my aunt on her machine. I just changed some settings, but I didn't have a personal PC. I used my phone the entire week.
So
That's all I had.
So what kind of meds did you get on?
Tranquilizers in the daytime and uppers in the morning.
Huh?
No, it was good. I did okay. I there's a few sites I missed that just weren't well represented on my phone.
I wanted to talk about credentials. Apparently, there have been, and it's on the incline. People, I mean, bad actors having machines that scan the internet for devices, certain devices that they know are vulnerable. I mean, it can be routers, it can be switches, anything. And they're scanning for those devices that still have the default credentials installed. In other words, you bought a router and you're using it, but you never changed the default username and password that came in when it came from the factory.
Now, let's be clear what you're talking about. You're not talking about the SSID name.
No.
To connect to the Wi-Fi. You're talking about the administrator UI.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you is there such thing that default SSID?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know.
Hmm?
Seems like it always asks you to put one in.
No, now
But-
the routers now come with a label. Well, and by the way, that label's fine. You don't have to change that. It comes with a predefined key, and it's actually a pretty secure password. It's typically a couple letters, or a couple words rather, and then some numbers and a symbol. But you're talking about the administrator UI.
So and you did more than one. You saw more than one like that, and they're different.
Yeah, my Spectrum,
keys.
my Spectrum router that I don't use, that it's
Okay.
got a predefined password.
But they come with different passwords.
Yep,
Yep. What we're talking about is the password to connect to the device.
No.
To
get to the admin UI.
Right. That's how you will connect to your router from a remote place. Let's put it this way. Or if you want to go in and configure it, you would need that username and password. And I think in Netgear there's no, it's admin or it's the same username and password on all of them. Not on different makes, on the same. If you with Netgear, that's what you would do. You would in in the instructions, or even TP-Link, in the instructions, it tells you the default username and password is this. These are the ones that, since you know it, everybody else knows it.
Yeah,
And
and
go ahead.
that's changed a little bit recently.
It should.
When you get a new router now, you have to log in and configure it for the first time. And I'm trying to think. I set up a Netgear router for my parents when I was home for Christmas, and it required you to set up a username and password before it would even work.
Oh, nice.
So that's good. But there's plenty of devices that don't. And
Yep.
some people still put in admin or admin password. And
Yep. 1,
kind
2,
of
3,
defeats the
4 is there.
Yeah.
All kind. The point is that those bad actors can get into routers, and when they get into the router, they can get into your network and do things. And we're not only
Potentially, yeah.
talking. We're not talking only about home routers, even professional routers.
Well, they've had
has-
remote access for a long time.
Yeah.
You could, but most of the time it was just a command line. But now it's more sophisticated that you can get to the web configuration screens remotely.
Yeah,
Because
and-
it's a web server. It's just you have to just
Right.
make sure you have the right port set up.
So make sure that if you have any device that's connected to the internet and there's any kind of credentials that appear on the setup page that you're on, and it tells you go to your browser and enter this IP address, or go to your browser and go to this particular URL, and you can do this even when you're not on the internet. You need to change those credentials if you want to stay safe. And we're assuming that you want to stay safe. It's been years since people been told, you need to change it. You need to change it. You need to change it. And it seems like there are more and more, instead of the number declining, it's actually getting more and more of them that people are allowing to stay the way they are. And sooner or later, you're going to get burned.
I don't think this is the
Yep.
case, but is there any evidence that these consumer router companies, Netgear, Linksys, whatever, have backdoor passwords? User IDs
No,
and passwords?
I don't.
I mean, I wouldn't think that would be something that these engineers would want to have.
We're not
It's
talking-
not exactly big bucks.
Right. We're not talking about the back door. We're talking about the front door.
No. What I don't mean, I mean a front door default
Oh,
username
yeah.
and password that's hidden that we don't know about. So, like
They're not hidden. They cannot be hidden. What Nick is talking about, I mean, this is new to me, but I have not set up a router in a few years. And that's nice if they tell you to go to that IP address or to that URL, which is normally just in your local area network, and right away they ask you to create a username and password, that's great. If they're not going to work. It used to be that in order to get in to configure it for anything, they have to give you a password that they set up at the factory. And that's what we're talking about. And some of them did not have a username or a password. They only had one or the other. And it was a lot easier. And you can go on the internet and say default password for something. And you find it.
I've seen it. I've seen the list because I've used the list because I'm working on somebody's. Oh, what is the default password for a ASUS router?
Right.
Yeah.
These are the ones that need to be.
There's a list for corporate machines too. What the default passwords are.
Yep.
Oh.
So they're, as people are getting, as the corporate world getting a little tighter, because of all the problems that have been cropping up in the last few years, it seems like the home section of this business is being left behind. sure, somebody who's trying to break into your computer, I don't know what he's going to be able to get versus what they're going to get when they break into a server on a big network. But still, there's something there to get, possibly, and you want to protect that. So just remember, if you have, you just need to look at your home network and just make a list. What do I have here that's connected? Devices. We're talking devices. Computer, router, things like that. If you're getting into smart things, and I'm not into the Alexa and all these, but I don't remember how I got into the Alexa the first time to set it up. I think that's done through the app, right? Or
Yeah, it's associated with your account, with your Amazon account. It's
right. So that's a little bit that's protected. But anything that's connected to the internet, try and see if it has a default password. And I don't blame people for leaving it like this, because it's the excitement of the moment. Hey, I got a new router. Let's put it in. Okay, how do I go? Okay, yeah, they said to go here. So now let me set it up and see how it works. And before you know it, you forget that there was something there. So,
and if you have your smartphone, there are some very good free network analyzers you can download that will, if you don't know what's on your network, what devices are connected, you can go and do a scan, and it will show you all the IP addresses. And if there's anything that they've been locking down, Apple, when they a while ago started restricting what you can see with these analyzers, but you still can go out and look and see what the IP addresses are. You can see the MAC address, and sometimes you can learn what the device is. If it can identify the device based on, say, a MAC address, because it's a registered range, it will do so and tell you that this is a printer, this is whatever. So it's good to have a list and know what's on your network.
Yep.
These are the devices that show up. And there's also there's one called Dr. Wi-Fi. It's an inexpensive. It's not a very sophisticated tool, but it's a good way to go out. It looks for local networks, but it also will give you some information about your home network if you choose to use that part of it. But yeah, get a list. Find out what's on your network. You might be surprised. You find out your neighbor is on your network.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Wait a minute, I don't have a Mac. Why is there a Mac on my network? Well,
919-573-51 919-518-9773.
It's a good idea if you ever give anybody access to your network. That's why most home routers now come with guest networks. Give them the access to the guest network. Set up a separate password and user ID, or just a separate password for the guest network. And that way you can go in and manage it separately or turn it off when you don't want somebody to use it.
Right. And I think all the new devices have them. I mean, in the last few years, they all have guest network. All right. There was we keep hearing about security breach here and security breach there, and Microsoft disclosed last week a security breach that took place last month, as in December, and they did it through a blog post. The OS maker said that an internal customer support database that was storing anonymized user analytics was accidentally exposed online without proper protections between December 5th and December 31st. The database was spotted and reported to Microsoft by a security researcher with Security Discovery. Microsoft blamed the accidental server exposure on misconfigured Azure security rules, it deployed on December 5th, which
No,
is
it was
now
termites.
fixed.
It was
Yeah.
termites.
Um,
Termites did it.
you
Yeah,
know,
but they write the defaults.
it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that something will get connected or will be on a server somewhere, and you don't check to see that it has a username and password to get in. It's just exposed.
That's not even the issue. The issue is that anybody that uses, Gal, you use Office 365 at work?
Oh yeah,
You guys use SharePoint?
yeah. Teams, SharePoint, everything.
I mean, the permissions in SharePoint are incredibly complicated. It's not, and it's the same way in Azure. It's the same thing. It's the permissions are so complicated
That's
that
true.
this stuff happens because it's so complex and it's so non-intuitive. I mean, you'll give a group, Amnon, you're part of group user group A. I'll give you access to the SharePoint group. You can't get access to it. It just doesn't work. So I got to make another group. It's just this is typical Microsoft, and it's funny that it finally affected them.
I don't know. It's just you would think that there are professionals sitting there doing these things that
They are
understand.
professionals. They make mistakes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is to me, this is basic, exposed. You know, it's exposed. It's not like I
Okay.
put the password.
So
It's exposed.
I'll.
What?
This is my bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
The product that I support is all about the way it started, right? Today, it's not all about that, but that is like still a major part of it. Is about managing permissions to everything that people touch in an organization. Okay.
Okay.
And there are well established, let's call it best practices that not it's not my company who invented it, right? So the company I work for invented it, and it's based on Microsoft best practices and a lot of others. And when it comes to get to the field and you just start to explain it to a customer, and when I'm talking about a customer, it's an IT department somewhere, right?
Okay.
They do not get it. And these are the professionals. When I speak with a professional, and I need to give them the 101 on how permissions work, right? And why we got into a situation that we got, right? And most of them they don't get it at first. They get it after we explain it and after we show and we demonstrate, but they don't get it. And so you're saying, you think it's basic? You think it's basic, but most of IT professionals, it just passes over them. And that's the reality. It's sad, but that's the reality.
That is sad.
Well, and I think part of it too, and Gal, you probably experienced this a lot in your job, is that you're expected to be the Swiss Army knife. And I'm sure a lot of the people you're dealing with are expected, and that's just the industry. You're expected to be the Swiss Army knife. So sometimes things fall through the cracks. And unfortunately, a lot of the times it's things that are hidden off in the corner and not seen, like folder permissions. Who the hell sees permissions on folders? You don't. So
no, we do. I mean, that's exactly what we do. But that's beside the fact, right? There are solutions. Some of them are very pricey. The situation is crappy. It's like, that's for sure.
So you're saying we should be concerned about the fact that Microsoft has that $10 billion Department of Defense contract to create a cloud for the Department of Defense?
I don't know. I mean, I have no.
I'm being facetious, but
I know.
But Amazon is somehow trying to inject poison into this whole thing.
Everybody is trying to inject poison into everything, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos now with his hacked phone. Come on, that's like
I
that's
know.
all very yellow journalism, right? But somehow they're trying to make it about security. Yeah, the man got hacked. Come on.
It's not like he's not hacking the rest of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's you got a sign on your back, hack me. So it's when the first time you realize that all you have to do is be having a discussion with somebody else in a room. It doesn't have to be Alexa present, but you have a discussion with somebody with a PC that's turned on about something, and next thing you know, you're getting ads in Facebook and other places about that exact same product that you've never seen before. Just starts to show up. Say, isn't that a coincidence? I was thinking about buying this particular thing, and suddenly now I'm getting ads for it.
Yeah. Here's another interesting story. Microsoft has announced that it will install a new Google Chrome extension for some Office 365 Pro Plus customers that will force the browser to use Bing as the default search engine to access relevant workplace information directly from the browser address. The Microsoft Search in Bing extension will be added to all new Office 365 Pro Plus installation and then updating to newer, and when updating to newer releases. So if the next time you do an update, you will get that.
I'm wondering how this is possible.
I
What do
mean,
you mean?
they're forcing an extension.
Yeah, but so they're forcing Chrome. They're forcing Chrome's default browser. How? Why is Chrome allowing this? Why are they not blocking this?
I don't know.
No, it's an extension. So we've seen it in the past. Come on.
No, I don't remember.
No, not for Microsoft, but you've seen it in the past where you would install something and suddenly an application on your PC, and suddenly your default start page is something else in Chrome.
Okay, so they're not changing it; they're installing an extension.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they're installing an extension. The extension is taking over that.
That makes sense. Okay,
And because I would imagine that because they have Chrome in 365, it allows it sort of like to use. There must be some kind of hooks somewhere, and they can do that easily.
Oh, you don't need to. There's no special hooks. All you need to do in order to install an extension, right? And that extension probably already exists in some way in the Chrome App Store. It needs to, because otherwise Chrome would push it away. So the way the technical steps, and stop me if I'm getting off track here, is any application you install can look at your registry and see whether Chrome is installed or not. That's easy, right? Once it knows it's installed, all it needs to do is put the extension in one specific folder that is relative to the installation place. What Chrome does whenever it starts, if there's anything in that folder, it doesn't matter how many profiles you have or what, that's the default extension folder. And so it tries to load it. One thing to say for Chrome, the moment an extension tries to change something like the homepage, start page, new tab pages, it will, once you open a new tab, it'll say, hey, something changed here. Do you want this or do you want to go back?
Yeah.
Right? Most people won't see it, I know, but it does ask. But when it comes to default search engines, no prompt.
Really?
Yeah. So
isn't that weird? Everything else when it goes to, say you want to change your if you have a PDF file, what opens a PDF file? It can no longer change it without you going in and actually changing the setting. It used to be that it would change it for you, remember?
Yeah.
Now with Windows 10, it actually will say, because Edge is the default PDF app that comes on Windows 10 until you tell it not to do that. Even if you install Acrobat Reader, you still have to go in. Acrobat Reader will give you a prompt to say, if you want this to be your default app, you need to go. It opens up settings for you so you can change it, because it's not allowed to change it anymore.
Right, but funny
Yeah.
enough, that's a better solution than the previous one.
Oh no, it is absolutely.
Right.
I'm not unhappy with it, not at
Yeah.
all.
Even though it
Now-
seems like a Microsoft move, right, to take over. No, this is actually a security measure that makes sense.
Yes,
And
people
yeah,
are now aware of what's
Yeah.
happening.
yeah. So yeah, so within Chrome, changing the default, I think that part might gonna get missed. By the way, if any of you are managing a network, there's a simple registry key that you can place right now, and when the upgrade for Office 365 with that extension will happen, it won't do it, but it's an opt-out process. You need, as an administrator, you need to make changes in the registry. You can do it via GPO, of course.
Can you send me a link to that? I'd like to send that
Yeah.
to my coworkers so we can do that. Because I guarantee, so we're going to get a bunch of phone calls that, Google's not working anymore.
Do you manage GPOs for those customers?
I don't, but we do.
Okay, so yeah, there's a GPO for that.
Yeah, I personally don't. It's a little above my head, but
Yeah, that's how I read about it. I saw it in the Reddit for sysadmins.
that's a great subreddit, by the way. Sysadmins is a
Yeah.
fantastic subreddit.
And it went on to say that the only people that will not have that extension automatically are those that already have set Bing as their default Chrome search engine.
Now, actually, I don't have to worry about this because I do use Bing as my default search engine.
So you are not going to have it.
I'm ahead of, a lot of people say, Nick, you're a trendsetter. And I say, no, that's not true. I'm not. And then, things like this happen. And I say, hey, I've been ahead of the curve for a lot of people are saying this. I'm not saying it. A lot of other people are saying it.
Now they are good. Now, they did say that even after Bing is made the default search engine, your users can still change to a different default search engine in Google Chrome on their own.
Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you the real problem here. The real issue is every single time Office 365 does an update, are they going to push this extension out again?
Who
Because
knows?
that's what they do with Office Click to Run. Every single time Windows updates, they reinstall Click to Run Office. So you're going to constantly have to do this?
I guess time will tell. I don't know.
I would assume every single time they push an update to Office, the current version of the Office apps, it's going to do this. Why would they just do it once? That doesn't make any sense.
Somebody's going to...
I'm guessing they're going to stop doing it very fast.
Yeah, I mean, the pushback is going to be incredible.
Exactly.
I would...
If they were changing it in Edge, it would be fine. The fact that they're changing it in Chrome is the part that I think is going to piss a lot of people off.
I would like to see a patch that somebody comes up with that actually makes their extension bring up Google search instead of Bing. So even though they installed that extension, it still works with Google. Just things like this that will save you from grief over.
But they don't mention anything about Firefox, right?
No. This is just
That's weird.
Just Chrome.
Why though? I mean,
Maybe
Firefox is good.
Maybe that's how they start. Who knows?
It's
Don't
about-
give them ideas, Nick.
It's about market share. It's about market share.
Firefox has got that little?
Yeah, it's not meaningful today.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Especially in the enterprise world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chrome is the one that's mostly used because it's been.
I've been. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I've been using Brave as my browser of choice, which is a Chromium-based browser that says that they don't take any of your information. I don't necessarily think I believe that, but it's been rather interesting.
Well, I use Chromium, by the way, which is
Chromium,
very it has a lot less and it has a lot more control for the user. But yeah, it has the annoyance of you need to manage a lot on your own.
Well,
by the way, Bing is Chromium today. Sorry,
Edge is Chrome.
Yeah.
Have you installed it yet?
I think it's in the latest update.
I've heard it's pretty good. I haven't used it. Let me see if they've. No, I still have the old one because the logo's changed. The new logo is
Big G.
So instead of calling it Edge, the new version should be called Edgier.
Let me see. Settings, helping about.
Oh yeah, you can download the new Microsoft Edge browser.
It's got a
Yeah.
cool new logo. Yeah, I'm using Microsoft Edge Legacy is what I'm using. Microsoft is so stupid.
That's from
I mean,
Windows. You mean from Windows 8?
How
No.
do you see that?
They don't
I went
realize
to,
how they
Go ahead.
they don't realize how they make a parody of themselves.
Yeah. So I opened up Edge. I went to Help and Feedback and clicked on Help, and it says Microsoft Edge Legacy. This is currently the default browser on Windows 10. The Microsoft Edge was launched on January 2020. The new one. So I'm using Chrome Legacy. It's been out 5 years. It's already Legacy.
Yeah, well.
It's been out 5 years.
Oh, whenever Windows 10 came out. It's been
That's
more than
awesome.
5 years?
I don't think it's 5 years even.
Yeah. Windows 10 release date. Windows 10. Oh, wow. It's only been since 2016. Okay, 4 years.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hey,
It's only been that long.
And talking about browsers, while Microsoft Edge is right on track to replace Internet Explorer, it seems that the last one, Explorer, is a bigger security liability than you may think. In a newly released advisory, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within the America's Department of Homeland Security, is warning user about an IE vulnerability. To keep your personal data safe and don't expose your PC to dangerous malware, the agency further recommends consider using Microsoft Edge or an alternate browser until patches are made available. As a
Consider
reminder,
using an alternate browser.
yeah, as a reminder, this is not the first international agency that ranks IE security very low. Germany shared a couple of months back a similar study. I don't know if they make IE readily available to user in the new Windows 10. I mean, because in the early ones you had to go look for it.
You
had
don't
to go,
anymore.
You don't. Well,
no. There's
Well,
a lot of things that still use it.
Get this.
Oh yeah.
They have the new Edge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously they want to push it for every Windows out there.
Right.
So it'll work in Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and Windows 10.
So what
But
does
on
corporate?
Windows,
wait a second.
hold on. So in Windows 10, I go to I say, hey, what's the easiest way to download software in Microsoft? It's the Windows Store, right?
Yeah.
So you search for Edge in the Windows Store. It doesn't come up as a result as an app. It comes up as a banner and says, meet the new Microsoft Edge, learn more, and it opens a website where you can download the installer and run it. It's not even a Windows Store application.
That's probably a good thing.
I don't know. I mean, come on, you have a framework.
They still distinguish between apps and programs. So apps are written with a specific footprint.
The point is, I don't understand why they even have Explorer still available. If they're trying to make Edge the browser,
that was my question I was going to ask, was that how does the corporate world, there's a lot of legacy stuff that won't run on anything but IE.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
We have a couple of customers that they run old not old software. The software that they actively use is older software that runs internally on like a local server internally, and the only way to access it is with IE with ActiveX rules made. That's very common, very, very common. A lot more common than you think.
And the reason why they haven't changed it is security features.
Yeah.
The way their software, I ran into this all the time when we were doing communication software, where there was some internal app that the company would have. And in our case, it was a configuration tool. You had to have an older version of IE on your machine just to get the configuration tool to run.
Yep.
Because they didn't want to have to rewrite it. And eventually they did, so it was more universal, but it was millions of dollars to rewrite the app.
So
the configuration tool.
The reason we still have IE embedded in the OS is a lot more sinister than that. Not because of the applications that still rely on IE, because Microsoft, and they're doing it now finally, right? They say, hey, we're taking our hands off of it. But the fact that they're saying they're taking their hands off of it is a lot more problematic, because the OS, Windows 10 in its current state, still has everything that has what it's called web control, which is another program showing up web information, is basically using the IE engine under the hood, and with no control and no ability to change that unless that application goes out and implements a third-party web control, right? So anything that shows some sort of web content and is not showing it in a browser, but showing it in a window of its own, is very likely running Internet Explorer. So even if you go and you make it invisible to the user, all of the engine, the DLLs, everything under the hood is still there. And that's the main problem. That's more problematic than a single app for a single customer that they rely on. They can still somehow lock down their network settings so that IE would work only internally. Let's say that's possible, okay? With some configuration and GPO, it is possible. But now, right, any application that has some sort of, I don't know, an upgrade check to see whether it can download the new version of its own software, there's a good chance that it's using a web view object.
Yep.
And that object is Internet Explorer. And to replace that, it's a lot of effort, more effort than to clean up the system completely, right? And that is why removing Internet Explorer is not yet an option. And they haven't done a replacement Edge. Let's use Edge as that replacement component, because they can't. They cannot now force a completely new engine on some software that and suddenly it'll break, right? Because that relies on IE technology. So that's where we're at.
I just installed Edge, the new Edge, and it's Chromium based. And their store, their extension store, has had all of the extensions I've needed so far. Bitwarden, uBlock, Origin, Honey. Now these are larger apps. I get it, but I'll tell you what, man, it's pretty snappy.
But the Edge Legacy one had those as well.
It did, but I'm just surprised that right away it's got access to that stuff. I mean, that's part of the issue with some of these third-party browsers that come out that don't use either the Chrome or Firefox store. Like Opera's a great example. Opera's a decent browser, but they have their own store, and a lot of apps, the programs don't have extensions.
Yeah.
But you can install anything from the web store for Chrome, I think, as well.
In Opera, okay, I've never tried that. I've only used their own store.
Maybe you need an extension to allow it or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's possible, I think. So because it's the same technology.
This is pretty snappy.
So is that what you're going to start using from now?
No, I don't think I'm going to start using it. But
why not?
Why not? Because I haven't used it yet. No.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm wondering, is there? Okay, so here's the question: is Microsoft who would you rather be in bed with, Microsoft or Google, in terms of in bed with the devil. So you're already giving all your information to Microsoft with the OS. So if you're concerned about privacy and somebody collecting your user data, I would make the argument that if you're using Edge, Microsoft's already got it because you already use their OS. So maybe that's just one less company that's got their tentacles all over your data.
Too late.
Oh, I understand it's too late, but I don't know. And we're all about privacy and whatnot. Yet we're using Windows, which even if you turn off all of the data collection stuff on installation, is still funneling gigabytes of data off-site for them to collect. So, it's pretty clean. It's snappy. They've got a dark mode built in. It automatically imported my stuff, which is obviously every browser does, but typically Microsoft is last minute to some of these things. I'm gonna give it a try.
All right, keep us posted.
Oh, I can't load Computers 2K now. It says this website has not been updated in 22 years.
22
Sorry,
years.
cannot load on your browser.
Yeah.
That works.
There's an extension, though.
You know what? PHP free chat doesn't work.
Really?
Oh, hold on. Wait. Oh, no, it works. Okay.
Sorry.
I use the same username.
You cannot, yeah.
It works. Wow. If Amnon's website works, anything will work.
And let's stay on.
I'm sorry.
Let's stay with browsers here. Google researchers have exposed details of multiple security flaws in its rival Apple's Safari web browser that allowed users' browsing behavior to be tracked, despite the fact that the affected tool was specifically designed to protect their privacy. The flaws, which were ironically found in an anti-tracking feature known as intelligent tracking prevention, were first disclosed by Google to Apple in August last year. In a soon-to-be-published paper seen by the Financial Times, researchers in Google's cloud team have since identified 5 different types of potential attacks that could have resulted from the vulnerabilities, allowing third parties to obtain sensitive private information about the user's browsing habits. So here's Apple having a thing that they called intelligent tracking prevention, which apparently wasn't that intelligent. But I guess it all depends, what you compare it to when they call it intelligent. That was not,
a lot of people
that
use
was not
Safari.
nice. What?
A lot of people use Safari. Unlike Microsoft, people actually use the default browser on OS X, which is good. Which and I'm hoping this new Edge is that for Microsoft, because it does suck that the operating system that does things so well does browsing so poorly.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did you used to use Internet Explorer back in the day, Amnon? Yeah.
Then not for long. Yeah, I did.
No. Okay. Well,
But
I think a lot of people in the
Explorer
XP days probably did.
Explorer had bad publicity from day one.
Yeah.
It was always known that Explorer is very vulnerable. So we always jumped on whatever it would be, anything, Firefox back then, Chrome. I can't even remember there were other browsers.
Netscape Navigator.
Well, that's before that. But you were trying to get away from IE. And then there were, I mean, when Galo, when you mentioned that things will only run on IE, like on a network, I remember that, and it may still be the situation. Like my bank had a notice on their page that you have to use IE. You can't use anything else, and that was baloney, because I started using it and everything worked. And one time when they came,
that's to save their ass when you have a problem.
Well,
they say, "Are you using IE?" No. Oh, sorry, not supported. Use IE.
Right. They only tested against IE. Yeah.
Well, I mean, somebody from the bank was here to set up the credit card machine, all that, and I told them, and said, "Really?" And I brought it up. I said, "Here, tell me what doesn't work." And she looked and she played and she went and she went there and she said, "Yeah, it looks like everything is working. I don't know why they are still saying to use IE, but yeah, it may be to cover their ass. I don't know. Maybe they were
For
tired.
sure.
They were too lazy to change the uh, web page, but."
Well, the part of the problem is with IE, the updates are far and few in between for the most part. With Chrome and Firefox, right? They release an
Yeah,
update, it
all the
breaks the
time.
site.
Yep.
So then they have to change their disclaimer. You can't use Firefox anymore. So if you tell people only use IE, then
Yeah,
You're
I don't think anybody, or I don't shouldn't say anybody. I don't think many are telling their users to use IE these days. But even if they tell you to use IE, try and use now. In the early days of me getting online to get statements and stuff like that, sure enough, it did not work with Firefox. It did not work with Chrome. But I kept on because I wasn't using IE. I kept IE just for that, and automatically, first step you do is you just use the browser that you're on at the moment to go there. And one of the times, hey, it came up and everything was working, and I didn't think about it. I said later on, I said, "Oh, wait, I used it with Firefox. How come?" And then realized that okay, yeah, it started working. So
so okay. Actually, no. Now that you're saying this, so my grandmother had an issue probably about a year and a half ago where her bank
uh-huh.
only worked in IE.
Yeah.
So
And
there's a
the
Chrome.
and actually tried to go with another one, and it did not work.
So I told her,
Okay.
I uninstalled IE. I said, don't use IE.
Yeah.
It's a huge security risk. Don't use it. She's like, well, my bank doesn't work now. So there's actually a Chrome extension that you can install that will run a page as if it were in IE. I'll see
Nice.
if I can find the name of it. And you install this add-on, and then you can set a default URL. You go to a page and you can right click on the extension and say, run this page in whatever IE compatibility mode, whatever it's called. So yeah, let me see if I can find that.
Sounds to me like IE tab, I think it's called, and
IE tab, that is exactly what it's called.
that is going to be the most popular extension in the new Edge Chromium.
And it might be, and it's for big things for ActiveX. Anything that uses ActiveX, which is it seems to be very big in banking. I know a couple of banks that use a lot of ActiveX stuff. That's what you have to do. And what was Microsoft's Flash alternative that they tried making?
Silverlight.
Silverlight. Ah, what a piece of junk. But
Yeah.
anything that's Silverlight too, same thing. Silverlight. What a joke.
Now, now you said that this was about a year ago, Nick?
It was probably a little bit more than a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah. It still work?
And did she or you check to see if it'll work now with just a different browser? Because things change on their end.
Yeah,
too,
for sure.
obviously.
No, honestly I haven't, and I
Okay.
really don't have a reason to.
No, okay, that's fine.
So I put the link in there for IE tab. The configuration's a little funky, but it worked for me. It doesn't work in every case, but for some sites it might work.
Yeah, it's not available on the Edge site, on the Edge extension list.
So there you go. There's an example of one. Amnon.
Yeah.
Can I give a tip? Can I give a recommendation?
Sure, you can.
All right. This is something I found this week. I sent it to Amnon, and I don't think I sent it to you, Gal, because I wanted to bring it up on the show. There is a so Microsoft has an MSDN, their CDN download network for all of their ISOs. And the problem is, as they end of life software, those ISOs become unavailable. For example, if you needed to install Windows 7 today and you don't have a CD, or an ISO, you can't get one officially from Microsoft, which in my opinion is stupid. But to each their own. I found this website. It's called, everything seems to be legit on it. It's the.eye.eu, and it is a full mirror of the Microsoft MSDN all the way back to the early 2000s with all of their different versions of software, all of the terrible pieces of software that have existed over the past years, full ISOs, downloads, different versions. And I've used it a couple times in the past week, and it works out pretty well.
I thought you said it had more than just OS.
Oh, it does, but specifically for Microsoft stuff, old versions of even WordPerfect is on here. Amnon.
Oh,
from the
okay.
90,
I'll be
94.
right back. Let me go download it and install it. So
90 WordPerfect. Now these are all legit. These are not. So you need a key. You can't just download like Office 2007 and have it work.
Install it. Yeah.
You need a product key. But this is a good site. I'm hoping it stays active.
Yeah, I was looking, and Windows 10 was not among all the other Windows. I mean, the way that it was, that it's sorted. I think Windows 10 was before Windows 7 because of the alphanumeric. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that something is not there just because you don't see it alphabetically. Maybe in a different place in that list. But yeah, there were some real old.
Well, and like a lot of people still use Word 2007 and have active keys. You can't get an ISO from Microsoft anymore. They don't offer it. I tried getting one. They don't offer it. So the only solution for me was to get the ISO, which worked fine. I downloaded the ISO from here, put it on the computer, ran it, and it mounted it and worked fine. But it's just, this is another example. Why is Microsoft getting rid of download links for their software?
No?
Because they do not want to be liable anymore for all
the software's still out there. And they say it's end of life. That's fine.
Yeah. So if they still allow you to get it, right, and they say, hey, we don't support this anymore, then as a customer, an old customer, right, you're going to come knocking at their door and say, I know you said you're not supporting it anymore, but you are actually still providing me with the software, right?
Yeah.
So this way they can, by allowing a site like this and not chasing them down, right, they basically say, look, I don't know where you got the software, right, but I'm no longer touching this. And suddenly them saying it is legit. That's the way it works. It's business. So it's a business decision.
It's just unfortunate that they can make people susceptible to getting viruses and whatnot, downloading ISOs from unverified sources because they won't make it available. I think that's more risk than people wanting it for free.
So that is an interesting point you're making, right?
If you search Windows 7, if you search for Office 2007 download, there are on Google or Bing or anywhere else, there are some shady websites in the top 20 results. Very shady.
And the important thing, not all of them are marked, hey, don't go there, or
no, none of them are. Because I went to all of them and I'm like, this is clearly the malware or at least at the minimum, very bad versions of adware.
Yep.
So that's the part that is annoying. Because they still activate it. You can put in your window, which is what I did over this past week. I put in the 2007 key and it activated right away.
So one of the places like the Eye, which is a very interesting website, thanks for sharing, is a subreddit called Data Hoarders.
That's where I found this link.
Yeah. So that subreddit is surprisingly legit in its in what drives them, and they're always talking about basically how to take care of archiving anything out there that might disappear. And yeah, this definitely looks like something that came out of that subreddit, of the people in it. So if you're missing something, an old piece of software, an old piece of digital history, definitely visit that subreddit and see how they can help you.
Yeah.
It's,
And to be clear,
it's
not
an amazing community.
It's not free software. This is legitimate, in most cases, legitimate downloads to software that you can use your product activation key. This isn't
it's
like
not
pirate software.
Right.
Yeah. And neither is from this site. I haven't determined that either. All the software I've downloaded has been legit and asked me for.
Yeah, I need to get a copy of Office 2007.
Yep, that's what I did. I downloaded it. Pro Plus 2007.
Pro Plus, yeah, because it's a volume licensing thing that I still have. I tried to install it on my aunt's machine because I moved it from another old. I was trying to move it from an old machine to a new machine. It's nowhere out there visible except on suspect sites. So,
yeah.
Oh, I need to get that information. And what's the subreddit called?
It's
the
subreddit's
one place.
It's in the chat.
I put the link to it.
Oh, cool. Okay, good. Thank you.
-I. Yep.
I'm wondering why it is not, or if it is, the same thing exists on archive.org.
I tried downloading an ISO from archive.org, but it seemed a little suspect, and I didn't want to trust it. I did find one because that's the first place I went. And I found one, and I was like, man.
Yeah,
I'm not at home. I'm at work.
Yeah.
I really don't want to infect my work computer with Windows Office 2007 download.
No, if you feel like there's something wrong here, then it
probably was fine. I just was a little hesitant.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but we were talking about it one night, and you and Sean finding some old games.
Oh, there's a whole bunch. If you go, so this is the MSDN directory. If you go back to the /public, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. Old Windows 3.1 games, all of the JFK files are in here. This guy, whoever this guy is, he's got a rather interesting, all the old episodes of Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. This guy's an interesting character that runs this website.
So it can be a place to go visit.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff on there.
Yeah. All right. Here's what
I just wanted. Did we ever remember me telling you about my install and upgrade experiences with Windows 10? That was something we never talked about that on the air, did we?
No.
Okay, we'll save it for later. Okay, save it for later. But I couldn't remember. Probably worth talking about.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got something you were starting. Go ahead.
I was going to read another story and get into a discussion about.
So I was away this past week, and that's why I wasn't on the show last week. But I have a customer that I needed to update to Windows 10 from Windows 7, and had two Lenovo micro.
Yep, that's what happens when you eat on the show.
You're exactly right. I was eating. So two micro desktops, the 600 series micro desktops. One turns out the server had a failed hard drive, which I thought was going to be the biggest project to have. So I put in a new solid state drive, did a clean install. And by the way, just like everybody mentioned, if you install media for Windows 10 and you install it on any hardware that has been registered with Microsoft, you still get the free upgrade. It just worked. So I've had Windows 7 Pro, now upgraded to Windows 10 Pro. That machine actually turned out to be the easy one. The other one, which was an in-place upgrade, seemed to go really well. And the reason why it was critical that I do an in-place upgrade was this is used for business purposes to work with clients. So they have on this machine separate copies of Quicken 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Separate installations. They have the same thing with QuickBooks, all those versions. So all of the legacy software they need to use to bring in people's accounting information to basically do their books. So this is the one that had to work. So I clone over to the new solid state drive, both machines, and I install this machine and came back the next day. And what the person who's using the machine worked with, she goes, I have no printers. I said, what do you mean you have no printers? They're gone. I mean, they're not even listed. I was like, oh, that's weird. So I go and start to look, and I try to install the printer, and it goes, and it just literally, the install just goes for a few seconds and stops and is gone. It creates an icon, but you can't click on anything. There's no properties, nothing. So I start to do some research on this, and it says, check to see that the spooler is running. Spooler's not running. You turn it on, it stays on for like 2 seconds and turns itself off. Gee, that's weird. So you go into services and you look for what are the dependencies for this to run. And I'm researching all this and going through it, pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why this doesn't work. Let me go get the native driver for this printer and try to load it that way. That's another way. Instead of letting Windows services find the printer and load it, let it do the old style. Well, if you remember loading printers in Windows the old way, you could go in and basically assign the port. Do you want it to be a web services port? Do you want it to be an IP port? And it was very flexible, especially when you had a wonky network and you wanted to use just IP to connect. It was it made it reliable. Could not get the driver. The driver would start to load and it said, driver install ended unexpectedly, try again later. Didn't matter what printer it was, or a Canon printer, HP printer, all of them, same thing. So I finally said, well, I'm going to try to do, before I go ahead and try to do a clean install, which would take me at least a day or more to try to restore this machine back. So let me try to do just an in-place upgrade on top of what was there. So I do that. It takes about 2 hours, come back. It doesn't look any different. But now I go to add the printer, and it installs the printer, and the spool is running. So I don't know what's different, but so I go to print, and it says, job sent to printer. The queue, you look at the queue on the bottom, the queue is empty, nothing prints, gone. Just goes, who knows where it goes? It just disappears. So I said, let me try this. I go into printer properties, I click change port, and I change it from web services to IP. As soon as I do that, everything that's in the queue prints. So it's working now. All the printers are installed. So I use the native software. I've got all the scanning features are working. But what the hell happened? And why did an in-place install like that? Anybody ever run into this before?
Yes.
So what happens? I mean, it's just this
You
is
lose
the
all your
common
printers.
thing. If
Yeah,
this is the
you lose all your
common
printers.
thing,
Yeah.
it's like how many
Wait,
people get
Spence,
screwed?
hold it, Spence. What did you say, Nick?
I said you lose your printers.
But I mean, it wasn't. I lost the printers, but I couldn't install them.
I've never dealt with that.
I
haven't
was
dealt with that.
okay with losing the printers. I understood if I had to reinstall them, just like I had to recreate the network links were broken.
Yeah. Yep.
I knew that was going to shared folders had to be reinstalled. That was okay. I expected that, but I didn't expect the printers to disappear and then not let me install anything. It just was so strange.
That's crazy.
Thank goodness it's working. But since then, I have Acronis local imaging done on a regular basis on both machines. One has a cloud backup to the data because the data got corrupted on the server machine. I didn't have all the customer files locally anymore. I had to go to Carbonite and download them. So thank God that worked. So I've got 3 backups on one machine and 2 backups on the other machine, and hopefully we'll be okay. What an adventure. 2 days. 2 days to do this.
So I had a similar but different issue. A friend's laptop that had already Windows 10 crapped out, and the solution was to reinstall Windows 10. Installed Windows 10, everything went smooth. And then I ran a software I recommended in the past, a Snappy Driver Installer, on this Lenovo laptop, and it installed all of the software. Apparently, one driver package that it identified incorrectly, but it did install it. And after I boot, the keyboard and the mouse are no longer functional. Try to use them, nothing. Keyboard and mouse, dead. Hook up a USB keyboard, dead. Hook up a USB mouse, thankfully worked. Turned out I had to, the only reason I know it's that package is because I used the restore points that was created before, selected everything except those keyboard and mouse drivers, and then everything worked. Disabling the drivers after they've been installed didn't help. I had to actually go back to a restore point. Yeah, took out a day of work just to figure that out. It was fun. But shit happens.
I don't remember.
Yep.
I don't remember the circumstances, but it was about 6 months ago or more recently that I was trying to do a clean install on a machine. It was one of these Lenovo machines of Windows 7, and it turns out that the installer that I found online, they scrubbed out all of the native USB drivers. So you would go through the installation. The drivers were there for the keyboard and the mouse for installation, but as soon as you boot the machine, nothing.
Yep.
There were no drivers. So I actually found a great program online. If you go in and look at the hardware ID of the USB chipset, you can go and find out the driver. And there was a tool that I found, and I can't remember the name, but I got it written down, that actually let me modify the installation disk, or in this case, flash drive, to add the drivers I needed just for that installation. And it's very specific to that hardware. So you could lose your mind. And there was a whole, the information I found online, hundreds of people having this issue, especially in IT departments, where they were trying to re-image machines, that they will lose it. There's no driver. What do I do? I can't, and so it was, whoever wrote the software is great, because it would let you go in and pick drivers to literally add to the installation package. So thank goodness.
I'm looking for a quick recommendation. I would like to be able to create a starter image for a computer, for a customer, so that every time they get a new computer, I can image the new computer with this one that's got the stuff pre-installed. I guess that'd be called like a gold image, I guess is what you'd call it. What piece of software is the best to use for that?
Microsoft's own DISM and ADK, I think it's called. Just look for that. There's a learning curve for it.
What is it called?
But ADK, I don't remember what it stands for.
Automated installation kit?
Yeah, it's a huge package you need to download. You need to download ADK. Sometimes you want the Windows PE as well. And what it does is it allows you to modify images that the installer uses. Microsoft has this, they have a special format in their installers that started since Windows 7 called .wim, W-I-M. And those are basically like images of a mounted drive, sort of. And
so will this allow me to like install Chrome and Firefox and all these things into that image?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I'm really looking for.
I don't. I'm not following.
YouTube. Creating an image for a new machine,
Yeah, I know.
which is hardware agnostic. Okay, hardware agnostic that installs everything that you want.
Yeah.
From scratch.
So like
right?
let's say for a law firm, right? Let's say a law firm's got 25 computers. They get 5 new computers. Instead of setting up all the 5 computers and downloading Chrome and downloading this application and downloading that application, you've created an image, a gold image for all 5 of those computers. So you say, okay, take the computer out of the box. The first thing you do is boot to your CD and reinstall Windows.
Okay, now
all of your programs reinstalled.
Right, that's what I was wondering. Are you trying to create an image that goes after the OS, or
it will have to overwrite the OS, which is fine. I don't care.
So why can't you just take one that's how we used to do it in the earlier days, is once you install everything, create an image of that drive.
With what?
That's
what I'm at.
With clone.
With clone. You might have different hardware.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So there's a solution for that.
Hold it.
For that. So what Amnon is talking about is using the out-of-box experience. It's called. You do a sysprep after you have a system installed, right? You have it completely installed exactly as you want, but now you want to anonymize it, sort of, right? There's a set of steps that you do. You have to make sure that certain users already exist, because I think the administrator user is going to be disabled and a lot of stuff is going to happen. And then you sysprep it into a stage where it's called the out-of-box experience, which is what Microsoft calls what happens when you get an OEM machine, like a Lenovo machine with a pre-installed Windows on it, right? It already has all of the Lenovo applications installed and all of that, but it asks you to provide your username. It asks you some setup settings to start with, right? That's called the out-of-box experience, O-box. And so you use sysprep to get to that. You do not boot into the system, then you image it. And that also anonymizes the hardware IDs of everything and the driver IDs. And so when you install it on a new machine, it goes through identifying all of the drivers and all of that.
I've used those images before, and it's nice because they automatically set up the domain.
Yep.
And everything that you need.
Like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So
and you just have to.
Go ahead.
I will look at this Windows ADK, but in the short term, what's the best solution to doing a quick image of a computer that's set up? Is it
sounds like
Cronus?
Your IOMI software. Yeah.
IOMI. Okay. Yeah.
Nick, this is what I was going to say. All this, I mean, what Gal is talking about is great.
Yeah.
I never used all these features. I would make a clone of that drive, and when a new machine would come on in that office, I would take that drive and clone it to their new machine. It will come up, and the OS will take care of changing everything about the hardware if there is a difference. In most cases, when offices buy a new machine, they buy the same machine for everybody. So it wasn't much of a problem. But even if it was, you clone a new drive, like if you have your drive on your machine right now, and let's say the motherboard dies, you buy a new machine, completely different. You take that drive and you stick it in that new machine that's completely different than what it was. It will go through its gyrations, but it will get to the point where everything will be replaced automatically. You don't have to do anything. Now, the thing about the passwords and all that, Gal is correct. But because you don't let the user do this, you do it. So you log in and you change the administrator password and you change the other, because you are the techie. So in the other way, it will require you to do it, because it'll say, hey, enter a password. But that's great for a user that is not techie. If you're doing the update, the cloning, the whatever you call it, whatever you want, then you know what to do and you know where the problem is. And if you don't know, you just make a list and you say, yeah, I have to change this password. I have to change the IP address. I have to change this. I have to change that. I have to change that. And everything is done. And this you can do in minutes.
So what software do I use? That's where I'm still. wondering.
Yeah, Aomi will work. Anything that will clone a drive. Anything.
Yeah, so that basically you can go in and remember how we used to do when we wanted to move a drive to another machine. You just go in and change all the drivers to generic.
In the early days of XP will not do that. I think
Windows 7
Windows 7 may have not. I don't know.
No, Windows 7 would do it.
Okay,
but Windows 7 was a lot better.
What
XP, you had to do that.
You did not change. I never change anything to generic. What I would do is I would take the drive, go into Device Manager, and delete all the drivers under USB and under display and under everything. I mean, Device Manager looked like it had nothing in it. And you stop. You put it on the new machine, and it goes and it says, hey, I need a display driver, and this is what's in here. I need this.
I would experiment with that first before I tried to use it on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But it works.
I remember the first time I moved a Windows 7 drive from one machine to another and didn't do anything. And it sorted out all the drivers on its own.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the network driver it had on board. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked because it had to go out and find the drivers. What they've done, the reason why this is happening now with where you run into these install issues is because Microsoft has basically scrubbed the database of drivers. So the older drivers have all been removed from Windows 10. So it only goes back so far that you have drivers that will work with a clean install. It does not do a good job of supporting really old hardware.
Yeah, in the early days, I remember when you went to delete the display driver, it would tell you if you delete that, you're not going to be able to see anything. Are you sure you want to do that? And if you said yes, sure enough, the screen went blank. Yeah. But then what you do is you reboot it, and it will come up. And I think the trick was the first time you rebooted, and here it goes, and it put all the stuff that you deleted back on from getting it through the network. So you boot into safe mode, which will not install any drivers, but it will do the display, and that worked. So there are different ways, and experiment, but I do it without even thinking these days that if somebody got a new machine and they want to put their old stuff in it, just clone it or just take that drive. You clone it just in case. But you take that drive, you put it in the new machine, give it a few reboots, and everything is back to the way it was.
You mean you don't have to call Microsoft anymore
I lost
put in the
contact.
Numbers and let it read back that code to you? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah.
That's why that was so cool that the Windows 7 upgrades worked, because it recognized the hardware ID of the PC and said, "Okay, good, activated."
Yeah, I don't. Now you see, this is one thing that I don't like now, and I don't like it because I wasted almost a whole day trying to do something to update a machine in place, to upgrade it. Sorry, from Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro. It did not allow me to do it no matter what I did. Every time reformatting the drive, anything that I did with the minute I installed.
So it read the hardware ID and installed the appropriate one.
No, it told me. It installed Pro and everything.
I mean, it installed the one that Microsoft was aware of.
No, it installed what I told it to install. But it will not activate it. It says, hey, I can't activate this because we see that this machine is registered with Home.
So how did you
I put Home on
purchase? But what did you do to purchase a new license to upgrade it?
I put a new key on it.
Where did you get it from?
Oh, I can't. One of those places that.
Well, that's why. If you
no.
If you had done it with Microsoft and you chose to do their upgrade inside of Windows 10,
yeah,
where you say easy upgrade from Home to Pro, it would have worked.
I went to the store and I went through the gyrations. Like you buy it, nothing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
something.
probably it's something that's built into.
Yeah,
This probably was the license you got was probably a volume license from that they wholesaled out to get rid
it
of that they
doesn't
didn't
matter.
need.
Why
No,
does
I
it
know
make
it.
a
What
difference?
I'm saying is that's why they have the option for easy upgrade too, and it's I forget where it's listed. And
Well, I
if
didn't
in
choose.
Windows Home, it'll say on your if you do PC properties, it'll say easy upgrade, and you click here, and it goes, yep, but you
Oh.
have to put in a credit card to get the
I don't know.
license.
Nick convinced me. Said, "Well, just leave it at home. What's the big deal?" And sure enough, there's no difference for what I do.
There you go. Unless
Yeah.
you're using RDP or something
Yeah,
else, you don't
right.
really need to.
You're absolutely right.
I know. What can I say?
But Pro is just so much more professional.
Yeah.
No,
There's
there's
one-
there's a few features that are only available in Pro, but if you don't use that,
There.
you cannot manipulate security policies in Home. You cannot, well, not easily, and you cannot activate BitLocker encryption. Right there's a few things. There's
Yeah,
more, but
The
BitLocker's a big deal for
the
some people.
one thing that I couldn't do was create an offline account.
that I have an answer for you.
Okay.
So Microsoft are sorry, but they're sneaky bastards. So they ask you to the process. You complete the installation. It goes through the installation, and one of the first thing it asks you to do is connect to the network.
Right.
Once you're connected to the network, you cannot go back and disconnect from the network. Okay,
All right.
and that is important. If you're connected to the network, it only allows you to go through the Microsoft account process. But if you said, I do not have internet, it allows you to set up a local account.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was furious about it because it happened to me. I connected to the network,
Mm-hmm.
right? And suddenly the function that I saw, just 3 days before was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not go back. So the only way to go back was to run the installer again. And wait the 15 minutes where it copies everything. Yeah.
Yeah. With
never connect to the network from the get-go.
With Home. With Pro, it's fine.
No, with Pro. With Pro. I did it with Pro.
Oh, no. I did it with Pro a few times, and it says offline. On the left bottom, it had two options, and one of them was offline account.
Well, you know what? You might be right. It might be might have
But
been
the
a
Home, I said, where
yeah.
is that offline? I can't see it.
But it does something sneaky on the others. Yeah. So it asks you for user credentials and password, right? User and password. And then it asks you for 3 bailout questions.
Yep.
What the? Yeah. I don't want those.
Yeah. I know. It's So if you if you don't connect to the internet, it will be.
It allows you.
Okay. And it will not come back after you connect it to the internet.
No. After the installation, I connected to the network and did Windows Update and all that, and everything was fine. It was just annoying.
Annoying is the right word. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Talking about passwords. LastPass has been suffering last week from a major outage as users are reporting being unable to log into their accounts and autofill passwords. What's odd is the company insists that everything is working properly, even though there's an unusually high number of users reporting issues. The article, I didn't dig much into it. Of course, it could be that there was an outage in an area or something like that. That could happen. But this could be a problem when you're using a password manager. If you can't connect, if they're down or something is not working right.
Well, to be fair, that's not precise. So I'm gonna.
I know
I don't
you're
know
good at
why.
that. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm gonna try to save some face for LastPass here. LastPass is designed in such a way that the password manager is completely disconnected from the server. It just syncs to the server. So even though the server is out of reach,
Mhm.
you can still access all of your existing passwords.
Oh,
Okay, that's part of the way the design is. That is why LastPass doesn't know your password, even though they're keeping hold of it. Everything is encrypted at rest on their end, and it is copied over to your browser extension or your application, encrypted, and it is only decrypted locally on your machine. And so you'll have the latest copy, and if the server is inaccessible, then you can access it locally, and that's fine, right? So yes, there is an outage. Now, an outage will affect you. When will it affect you? When you want to change the password, when you want to save the password. If the server isn't there, and usually, and this depends on the password manager that you're using. If the server isn't there, then you cannot do any edits. Once you cannot do any edits, you're stuck, right? You need to jot it down on some piece of paper until the server comes back.
yeah.
And that sucks. I'm not saying, and that's probably the outage that is mentioned. But it doesn't mean that you are relying on the service to be online in order to access your data. If they go away and disappear, and
Go out
then
of
you can,
business, you mean?
yeah, and you still have your data.
Okay, so Gal, explain to me then what's the difference between that and having all your passwords in the local password manager of the browser, if it's locally stored. Just the encryption?
No. The main reason to use a dedicated password manager is synchronization between devices
No, I
and
understand.
platforms.
But let's say that you have
Other
only.
than that, it really depends on the security implemented in the browser for your password store.
Okay.
First of all, even in your browser, never never store passwords without a master key. Right? Even in Chrome, it doesn't. They don't call it a master key, but in Chrome, so one, you need to be logged into a Google account in order to do synchronization, right? And two, your passwords, your encrypted data can then be encrypted within your account with a key, a security key. So in Chrome, use a security key. In Firefox, use a master key, they call it. By the way, Firefox latest password password store has been upgraded, and it works very similar to LastPass today. You should be able to access it separately if needed and stuff like that. Microsoft's solution is storing it in your local Windows credential store. If you go to your start menu and type credential, you'll see the credential manager, and you'll see there are two types. There are web credentials and Windows credentials. Web credentials are what the web browser use, and those are encrypted to your user. So the moment you're logged off your user, there's no access to that. But as long as you're logged in, it's there. And not only that, is if you're logged in your Windows 10 account, you're logged into a user, it has the ability somewhere in the settings by default, I think they actually push it today, it synchronizes that across your other locations where you're logged in with that user. So Microsoft provides it integrated into OS. The reason I like dedicated third-party solutions, whether LastPass or I'm using Bitwarden, which is a self-hosted solution, is you have more control. It is separated from another product you're using. And so, yes, there's the clunkiness of at least setting it up properly. Sometimes, integration isn't working perfectly, but at least it's this specific separate package, and it's not tied into your extensions and to your, a lot of other stuff that this is important. Even you lock your front door with a key, but then you lock your important stuff in a safe behind that locked door in another key, right? So it's like, that's why I say use something dedicated for this.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. So it's that outage it's not as bad as what
Well, I mean,
the
it sounds
article
like,
made it sound like.
yeah. Well, remember, it's an article. It's supposed to make things sound really, really bad. Otherwise, nobody will read it.
Here's something else kind of disturbing. Hospitals have granted Microsoft, IBM, and Amazon the ability to access identifiable patient information under deals to crunch millions of health records. The latest examples of hospitals' growing influence in the data economy. The breadth of access wasn't always spelled out by hospitals and tech giants when the deals were struck. The scope of data sharing in these and other recently reported agreements reveal a powerful new role that hospitals play as brokers to technology companies racing into the $3 trillion healthcare sector. Rapid digitization of health records in recent years and privacy law enabling companies to swap patient data have positioned hospitals as a primary arbiter on how such sensitive data is shared. So Microsoft, IBM, and Amazon getting permissions
no
from
Google?
hospitals. Well, I didn't mention Google.
So Google is the.
I'm sure they do have it. They already do.
No, I mean, they're the sponsor of this article.
Right? Oh.
Maybe Apple. Maybe Apple.
But this is really, that's disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't think it's anything new.
No.
And second, I'm really interested in the details because what is not mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So they say they're sharing the information. If I now, as a hospital, start using cloud services to store my data, theoretically, I am putting all of the information of my patients in the cloud infrastructure, right? Amazon has services for OCR for like, so theoretically, if I'm passing, I don't know, like a scanned document of patient record, right? And I'm passing it through their OCR engine, I'm buying the service from them, I'm practically sharing it with them. Does that mean that they have access to it? Not necessarily. Does that mean they're doing anything with the data other than allowing me to use their services to crunch that data? Not necessarily. So that's why I'm interested in the details. Do they mean, and the reason they mentioned specifically, right, Amazon and
IBM and Microsoft. Yeah.
And IBM and Microsoft, they are huge service providers of cloud technology, right? Google as well, but I think Google has less services that are directed at such an industry of, scanning all data and stuff like that. And that is why I feel there might be some misleading information in that article. But I haven't read it, and so I don't know.
I tell you what bothers me.
I'm skeptical.
I tell you what bothers me. When I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, I see no problem with sharing information about, okay, this patient came in with these symptoms and we treated it with such and such and such. Here is the information. Go ahead. Now, they don't know who it is, but they can compile data to say, oh, so 10 different hospitals had the same kind of situations with the same symptoms. So that's good that other
But
hospitals would
how
know.
do you differentiate
Wait,
each of? Oh, okay.
because they were saying here they allowed them access identifiable patient information. This I see no reason for other than problems. Why do they need to know who the patient is? They need
Well,
to know.
That's the question: is that do they? The government slides into this same thing. Remember the whole unmasking scheme
Yeah,
about how people were asking for people to be on masks
yeah,
when they had no right to do that. They had no
right.
they weren't in a position to even be able to require that or subpoena or enforce that. So when they build these silos, it's a big virtualized world. They have this giant data center that has all these virtual customer identities were supposed to be all separated using virtualization technology, right? They can turn up like you can turn up a new server instantly, right, Amnon? Every
Right.
time you need one, because it's all virtual.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is stored in a giant virtual cloud.
Okay.
First of all, what are the firewalls between those virtual worlds, right? I believe they're very secure. But if you're the person building this thing, you probably know a way to get around that. And to look and to go in and look at that data. It can't just be that, oh yeah, we set this up, here's the key, and none of us know how to get to it. No, that's not true. I don't think that's true.
Well, I don't think we're past the 90s where it was common practice for any company, any tech company, to put in some sort of backdoor for service, right? We're past that. We've already accepted to use worldwide, widespread encryption that theoretically, at least, by what we know, even the NSA can't crack easily, right? So, and providing service, right? Especially with the open source world, where you have peer reviewed software a lot more common, at least when it comes to security, right? So we're at a better stage today to provide the know-how and the details, and to provide services on a high level of assurance that even though I'm providing you, the service aspect, I'm letting you run the VM, I'm letting you run it, I do not have access, only you have access, because everything is at rest encrypted with your keys, and everything while it's running, it is only running, and you can connect to it in a very secure tunnel that nobody else can peer into it. And we are getting, I won't say that we're 100% there, but these systems, the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Google ones, the systems that they provide their accounts is supposedly like that. The one aspect that is completely missing out of that picture is they're not all peer-reviewed software. The systems themselves that they're running, right? They still keep those cards close to themselves because of competition rules and all of that. And so, can we trust them? That is a fantastic question, right? But it's not clear-cut that we cannot, and that's the thing.
Well, the thing again, the thing that bothers me is, I mean, you have books about how to do certain things, right? In the book, it doesn't say that George Smith found out that this is how to do this because he blew up the pipe before he realized he has to put tape on it so water will not come out. And Jeannie Smith in Iowa tried it too. No, they said people tried, and they found out that in order to put two pipes together, you need to put some Teflon tape between them. They didn't say who, where, how old, what education they had, tried it and screwed up or fixed it. They just tell you that people did it. That's okay because that's how we learn from other people. When somebody's saying, you know, you know how to change a tire the easy way? Here's how you do it. You don't care who he is, where he was born, what's his age, what's his anything about the person. All you want to know is, okay, yeah, I found an easier way to change a tire. And here they're giving them all the information plus who that patient is. And that's the information that can be used for bad.
But that's what I don't. That's what I'm saying. I'm with you. If that's the case, that aspect of sharing definitely needs to stop.
Yeah.
Right. No. And most of the laws that are, and the legislator is always way behind on this, right?
Mhm.
But most of the laws that are coming into fruition today are exactly to address that. But
in the meantime, it happens.
no,
That's that.
the real question is when it happens, right? In situations like this, are we talking about this is happening intentionally? Like
Okay.
the big groups, right? They're sitting down and they say, I want every bit of information. Or they go and say, look, if we share information, this is going to be excellent. And then somebody that goes to implement says, let me just take the entire package and send it. And it's not filtering out the important stuff, right? The
Mhm.
personal stuff, and sends everything. If that is done intentionally or just because you're naive.
Or because you're too
most-
lazy to filter it for them.
Well, I put it as naive.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
don't. The reason you don't do it with your laziness is because you don't believe it's ever going to go in anywhere, which is naivety, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Amnon, think about the way you did business 10 years ago and the way you do business today, right? And there's a lot of practices that change, and none of them was because you did anything malicious. Right? But you stopped doing it the moment you understood the risk you are exposing your customers, the risk you are exposing yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And the main difference is that today, every little bit of scrutiny, right, is magnified with social media, with immediate media, with faction media, right? You almost immediately you have some sort of commenter like Nick in Against the Norm, right? Somebody that has an audience, right? You have somebody that immediately comments and suddenly his voice is heard a lot louder than just the room he's in.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. How dare you say I have an audience? How dare you make such an assessment and such an assumption? That is
Well,
I want to
incredibly-
know how old
For
they are,
what?
and I want their names.
Exactly.
I don't know of more than one person that listens to my program.
No, they're already two.
That's true. Sorry.
You're two
No.
personalities, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, I listen at least twice.
No,
human nature being what it is.
We'll
with the
we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, what Gal was saying is it's absolutely correct. It's the way I look at it is today,
dangerous.
after we know the dangers of what happens to personal information, today for hospitals to allow them, when they know that there's so much junk going on with what happened with Facebook and Twitter and oh yeah, here's permission. It's not like they don't know or they're naive or they're saying, oh no, that's not going to happen to us.
They're still
It's- but
struggling
it's
with
still-
the whole
Well, I mean,
Well-
healthcare. Remember as part of Obamacare, they had regulations about making your health records portable.
Yeah.
To go from one organization to another, that you go to a specialist in another hospital, you should be able to give him access to your records.
Yeah, you
easily,
should.
instead
You
of having
should.
to make copies of everything and
Yeah.
carry it with you.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. But again, that the potential for abuse. I always wonder about, and I'm surprised at some of the people that are part of the advertising for organizations like 23andMe, right? Where
But they have
you
all
go
that.
in. It's like Ancestry.com had their genetic testing. It's getting better and better all the time. But has anybody ever read the EULA to find out what they're allowed to do with that data? And in the beginning, the big fear was, all right, you want to find out if you should wear lederhosen or a kilt because you want to know where you come from. So you go and you get this information, and they then somehow make it available that an insurance company that you're applying to for life insurance finds out that, oh, by the way, you have the genetic propensity to some disease that you don't even know about. So it's that kind of stuff.
I don't know if they're doing it, right?
Well, I don't know that they're doing it either, but the human nature being what it is, if somebody can exploit it and get away with it, they might try. So it's like,
have you heard how they're using that for law enforcement?
Oh yeah.
No, and they're not violating any of the privacy laws, right? By doing it, they take a sample of DNA and they sent it to the system.
What you hear all the time about how there's all those Dateline shows on television about how, oh yeah, law enforcement overstepped their bounds and they withheld exculpatory evidence and they produced evidence from, and just human nature being what it is, if there's a way to do it, somebody will try.
It can always be abused. Whether it's being abused right now or not, maybe we don't know, but we need to be aware of it.
Our government is so good at that. They're just absolutely just true to their word in every case. We can see evidence of it right now, that everything is being done in good faith.
Let's end the show with this kind of like a little on the lighter side. Count GE in on the screw your customers bandwagon. Twitter user tweeted, "My fridge has an RFID chip in the water filter, which means the generic water filter I ordered for $19 doesn't work. My fridge will literally not dispense ice or water. I have to pay General Electric $55 for a water filter from them."
So now, did they hire the people that built printer cartridges to do this?
Oh, no, yeah, hold it here. Hold it. Fortunately, there appeared to be a way to hack them to work. How to hack RWPFE water filters for your GE fridge. Hacks aside, count me out of ever buying another GE product, guys.
Crazy.
So, filters.
Let me tell you, folks, I only buy my filters from InfoWarsStore.com. The best water filters that you will ever find. My filters.
Yeah, they filter the government out of the fridge.
They filter the homosexuality out of the water.
Here's another one. Another Twitter user complained last week, in which he produces photo evidence of HP warning him that his ink cartridges would be disabled until he starts paying for HP Instant Ink monthly subscription service. Has gone.
That's because. Okay, I'll explain this. I'm a subscriber, so I know exactly what's going on there. So there are. First of all, HP has this program they call the Ink Saver, and you pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
And they count the pages that the printer prints.
Right.
And basically, they give you a limit per your subscription level, but the ink is included in that.
Okay.
So you need to connect the printer to the router. It needs to connect to the internet, and it reports back to HP.
Yeah.
HP tracks the ink level, and the moment ink starts getting low, they send you a cartridge, you replace it, and you send back the used cartridge. Very simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, some of the printers they sell with these cartridges with this program already built into the
Embedded in it. Yeah.
to the sale. So instead of you getting like the first set, which is, you know, the first set is usually complimentary and usually has a lot less ink in them. They give you these instant savings set, but you will be able to continue to use them, right? Only if you register or replace them by a completely new set, which you need to do anyway at the beginning, you know, first month, something like that. And so it sucks, but this is like an end user license that you agree on when you buy it. It was probably cheaper on the shelf next to an exactly same model that wasn't part of that program.
Well,
okay.
To be fair, this is no different than like some firewalls and whatnot have. Like I think Sonic Walls, right? They have got a subscription that you pay. Even if you own the device, if you stop paying the Sonic Wall subscription, the firewall stops working. That's essentially what this is. That's the program. You stop paying for the ink, the ink stops working.
Yeah,
that's
the guy was saying that it stopped. He only discovered the warning after canceling his random HP subscription, would charge him $4.99 a month.
Yeah,
after a year. After a year.
Yeah, if you cancel your internet subscription, your internet stops working.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of the thing. It's a service. It's an always-on service.
So they have their cartridges, right? That internal ID that identifies them. If they're part of the program, then yeah, the printer needs the subscription. You can put cartridges that you buy from HP or third, aftermarket suppliers, and you put them and it'll work. But yeah, you can feel cheated out if you didn't understand it from the get-go.
Yeah, if you didn't pay attention to all this.
Yeah. Everything is moving to a subscription model. Everything, right?
Oh.
I mean,
the show even. Yeah.
I think it would work better if they kept the water flowing in the refrigerator, but it made it taste like lemons.
So I'd be all in on that.
Boy, the water tastes terrible. It's so sour. Well, no, you didn't renew your subscription, so we turned the taste off.
No, not lemons. Like cancer.
I mean,
that's it. Yeah.
John was.
Come drink the water down here. It comes free, even if you filter it, you get cancer.
John was saying, he said he needs to get the filter bypass about the water filter, and I was just thinking, if you take and you put a new filter from GE, but in the line you put a generic any kind of filter, then the filter that's from GE is not going to get contaminant because the first one is going to stop.
But doesn't it work on time?
I don't know. That's the question.
Yeah. It's not just the filter; it's having a good filter. I'm sure.
It's because they care about your health.
Oh yeah.
I drink all of my water through a life straw. That's the only way I drink water. Out of the tap, I hold the life straw up to the faucet and drink.
It's very embarrassing when Nick is in a restaurant when he gets out the life straw.
The worst. I look like a moron pulling a life straw out of my backpack to drink
I just use the garden hose.
Garden hose water is some of the best water you can ever drink. Nothing better than the taste of garden hose.
Especially if it's sitting in the hose for 2 weeks before you drink it.
Yeah, for sure.
Want to absorb all those chemicals from the hose.
Mm-hmm. Damn straight.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Okay. So the story on headline sounds shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you realize you signed up for a subscription and canceled it and then your stuff stopped working, and you realize that the consumer, again, has no idea what the hell they're doing.
Yep.
Let's put it this way. He had a charge on his credit card. So he gave the credit card at one point.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't get it out of thin air.
Yeah.
Yeah, $4.99 a month.
Yeah, no, I paid $2 and I can say I did the math and it makes total sense to me and I'm okay with paying them. Yeah.
So just be aware when you're signing up for a subscription that your service will likely stop working if you stop paying.
Hey Nick, John is asking if your life straw is plastic.
Yes, it is. It's non BPA plastic, available only at Infowarsstore.com.
It's BPA.
But it's coated with lead, so it's okay.
And fluoride. Yeah.
High amounts of
fluoride. Remember the movie Doctor
Yeah.
Strangelove?
Yeah.
but,
Anybody remember this movie?
Oh, yeah.
Go watch it. It's a classic now. Just go back.
It's
It
amazing.
was a parody of a movie called Failsafe that was in the 60s, but it's fascinating movie. But part of this is there's an Army or an Air Force general.
don't
that
ruin
loses
it
his
for the
mind.
people that didn't. Don't spoil.
No, but it's just fun how that he believes that you shouldn't drink any water from any source. You should only drink denatured alcohol.
Oh.
And denatured alcohol is not good for you, but that's what he drinks. That's why he's probably crazy in the movie. So.
Yeah.
All right,
So
it's
good.
that time of day. Anybody wants to add anything else? No, huh?
Don't take apart and try to change the battery on a watch that the battery is not replaceable on, because as you take it apart and you lose one of the tiny little screws, you can't put it back together again. That's what I've been doing here. Pam has wanted me to replace a battery in this watch, and I took it apart. I said, "This doesn't look like it should be." I said, "But I can take the screws out."
Friends, I've got two kits that I bought for something else that are filled with teeny tiny screws, different sizes.
Oh, well, maybe it'll work then. Yeah, I mean, these are so small.
Yeah,
the first
these are-
one I took it out, and it literally just it
That's
like disappeared into thin air.
that is what it's for. It's for watches and for things like that.
So I have the two
so-
other screws. I found
all
them.
right.
It was but
Yeah,
the third
so-
one is gone.
All right. Okay, guys. Thanks. This was fun.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Gal.
Thank
Thanks,
Thank
Em.
you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, the listeners. Thank you, John.
Good night, John Boy.
you. All right.
Thank you, Emma.
So thanks, guys, and,
Yep,
and
thank
have
you.
a good week.
Yep, thanks.
And good morning, Kathy, Hannah,
Thank
Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Dina. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner, upgrade to Windows 10. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And tonight at 7 o'clock at www.atnshow.com. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
Okay. It's Nick's show Against the Norm at 7 o'clock tonight. And if you are in Wilmington, it's also on the Big Talker, 106.7. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.